Right now, I have close to 60 hours played in Warhammer 40k Darktide, a game developed and published by Fatshark, the guys who also worked on Vermintide 1 and 2, which I might just add, they're a couple of sick games. If you have a few friends, jump into Vermintide 2. I mean, even if you don't know anything about Warhammer Fantasy, jump right in. It's the game that got me interested in it. But, how is Warhammer 40k Darktide? Is it good? Is it bad? Does it have any problems? What are the upsides of playing it and stuff? And I will kind of ramble here a little bit going forward because the game is kind of hit or miss right now, but I have no doubt in the future it will perform beautifully, it will run beautifully. It is just right now the game isn't well optimized. And I should state right now that the game is in what Fatshark are calling, I'm not calling it this, but what Fatshark are calling a closed beta. Closed beta. It's not. They can call it that all they want, but it really just isn't a closed beta. What it is an early access pre-purchase incentive. Pre-purchase the game, get access to Darktide 2 to 3 weeks early. And that's all it is. And I have no problem with that. It's just that they're continuing to call it a closed beta when there's not enough time for them to gather enough information to fix many of the issues the game's currently having. What they should have done was maybe 2 to 3 months ago, release an open beta that lasted maybe, I don't know, a month, have very few missions, have very few maps, and just allow the player base to go wild. As it is right now, the game is kind of unplayable for some people. I have experienced quite a few of the bugs myself. Some of them, to their credit, they have fixed and ironed out pretty damn quickly, I might add. But currently, people are still getting mass disconnections from games. I am getting that also. I get it quite a lot. I've lost I don't know how much XP during this early access period, and it's kind of annoying because I think I should be at least a few levels higher at this point, but I'm not. So there's that. People are also having many performance problems where the game will just drop to like 15 frames whenever they're in combat or whenever they enter open areas. And I'm also having those problems, even though I do believe I've got a fairly beefy machine. But that's the thing, Fatshark will inevitably iron out these problems, and the game will come to a point where it runs silky smooth, and even older machines will be able to run it. I have no doubt that that's going to happen. It's just that they keep doing the same thing and making the same mistakes. I'm not sure if it's the holiday period or anything that has led Fatshark to release Darktide on the 30th of November, but I really don't believe it's ready. I really don't. That's not me knocking the developers or anything. Anytime you say anything negative nowadays, it's seen as you just being a dick. It's just seen as people being unfair. It's quite the opposite. I am really enjoying this game. It has more potential than Vermintide 2. A lot more. There are so many more 40k fans out there than Warhammer Fantasy. But I don't think it's ready. And I think it'll be at least another 6 months to a year to get the game into, the state that people are asking for it to be in. Whoever made the decision to release the game on the 30th, they did the development team dirty. Because you can see clearly on screen that the game looks beautiful. It looks amazing. Like, it looks awesome. The game looks awesome. It's more 40k than any other game I've ever played. And I've played a lot of Warhammer 40k games. A hell of a lot of games. And this game outdoes them all. The sound effects as well. The soundtrack deserves its own awards, but so do the teams that worked on the weapon sound effects, as well as just the environmental sound design. The voice acting. Everything is perfect. Everything is so high bar that it puts so many AAA developers to shame. So it just does. It's so fucking good. This is by far the best 40k game ever developed. And while I say that, I'm thinking of Dawn of War 2, I'm thinking of Dawn of War 1 with all its expansion packs, except Soulstorm. So it could outdo all of them. And I have no doubt it will eventually. So with all that negative drama out of the way, let's talk about a few of the positives that the game has going for it. I've already mentioned the incredible soundtrack and the sound design, so let's talk a little bit about some of the visuals. The game looks very pretty. With all the settings knocked up, if your machine survives, looks incredible. The lighting effects, like the fog and stuff that is in some missions as a parameter, is incredible. The game looks absolutely great. And Fatshark are really good at designing enemies to be identified by silhouette. So in Vermintide, you could tell what any enemy was from like 50 yards away, and you knew exactly what problem you're going to have. That is carried over to Darktide, and even more so in some cases because there's a lot more colours they're able to work with. The enemy faction in Warhammer 40k Darktide are Chaos Cultists, primarily those of Nurgle. You would believe that maybe some of them are Chaos Undivided, but that doesn't really make sense, as the different Chaos factions usually don't work well together. So primarily, it will be mainly Nurgle Cultists you're dealing with, and I think that's awesome. Nurgle needs more love. It's always Khorne and Tzeentch and the other pervert, but the more we can get done with Nurgle, the better. He is, of course, the Grand Poppy of Plague, the Grand Poppy of Slime, and the more slime the better. And I have an idea, and I wish with all my soul and being that Fat Shark would do this. So, you know how there's like Nurgle monstrosities and stuff? Well, in future, if they add like some new monsters or some new units, maybe just change the visuals up, it would be pretty cool if maybe whenever the Nurgle demon picks you up and eats you, that instead of just spitting you out from the front hole, he'll spit you out from the back hole. Because believe it or not, that's something that, well, Nurgle demons do. And that's something that they find hilarious. And it's also something that I find hilarious. I think that's incredibly funny. And they don't give me any nonsense like, oh, well, Connor, do you not actually know how long the intestinal tract is of a plague bearer? No. Do you? And why do you know that information? I just think it would be pretty funny if that was the case. Like, the projectile farts you out a certain distance, and if you hit a wall, you take more damage than you would have otherwise. And while it's farting you out, it rubs its tummy and just has a little bit of a chuckle to itself. That would be hilarious, and I think it would go a long way to maybe making the enemy faction in Darktide a little more unique. As of right now, they just feel like your average zombie force with a few monsters thrown in there. There's nothing that really shouts Nurgle, apart from some of the visuals. There's no Nurglings or anything, and them just being a little bit more personable with the enemy units could be pretty damn cool. I mean, look at what they've done with Total War Warhammer 3. There are literally units in Warhammer 3 that will pick up troops, fart in their face, laugh at them, and then throw them away. That literally happens. So that will be pretty cool for Darktide, and that's probably my only real issue. Outside of, you know, just the crashing and just the poor optimization that will be resolved with time. The game is just super fun. The enemy types are designed well for the most part. And overall, I'm very much enjoying the game. Very much enjoying the game. Now, there are 4 classes that you can play. There is the Sharpshooter, the Ogryn, which I'm just going to call it the Ogryn because I can't remember what its class is called. I think it's called something Breaker because the Ogryns break stuff a lot. And then you have the Preacher. And then you have the Psyker. So the Psyker and the Sharpshooter are all about range, I suppose. And the Psyker, or not the Psyker, Preacher, I get the Psyker and the Preacher confused a lot. The Preacher and the Ogryn are all about getting up close and dirty. You can choose from a number of talents and stuff to customize your playstyle. And also there's a very, very large assortment of weapons, which is one big improvement over Vermintide 2. That game had a lot of different weapon types for different classes or the different characters. But whenever you got one weapon, the visuals were very limited in what you could actually customize. So the fact that Darktide has more weapons available, we don't really know what's going to happen customization wise because the game hasn't fully, and I'm using air quotes there, fully released. So hoping that there's more customization that doesn't actually include us paying real money for it. I would like to earn as many things in game as possible without having to spend money. The Aquila thing, which is the premium currency that's coming to Darktide, it has me worried, but again, the game hasn't actually released. It doesn't release until the 30th of November. So I'll keep any complaints that happen to come up for around then. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, the game has 4 classes. Each feel very unique so far. They all look very unique. They each have distinct personalities depending on your character creation. I do like some of the banter that goes back and forth between the characters, and of course, in this game, unlike in Vermintide 1 or 2, you do create your own character. I would like there to be more, though. The more banter, the better, because right now, I'm hearing lines, you know, more, and that will get old very quickly. It doesn't have the strengths that Vermintide 2 had with its cast of heroes, because, you know, they just worked well together. They just were very, very funny. They were very cool. I mean, Saltspire is my boy. But this game, it does have some of it, and you can tell that a lot of the voice cast have returned. My boy Krubs is back, so that's pretty cool. But overall, character creation's cool. There's a lot of options there. And there's also a lot of drama going on right now, where a lot of the player base, in fact I don't believe it's a lot at all, a few very vocal peoples of the community are complaining that the female characters are not pretty. They can't apply makeup. They can't do piercings and, you know, dye their hair purple. They probably can't do that, actually. Which I find is hilarious, because it's Warhammer 40k. People got more fucking shit to do than worry about what makeup they're wearing or what hair colour they have. I mean, if you want your hair colour to change, end up in the realms of chaos, then your hair colour will change. Your hair will go grey real quick. So, there's a lot of drama going on currently with Darktide. Most of it is easy bait, but a lot of it is people genuinely asking for features that don't make sense. There are people who are already complaining that there are not enough different races in the game. And I don't mean races in ethnicity. I'm talking about chaos, Tyranids, orcs, which is just mind-boggling. There are a lot of stupid people out there, and I might be one of them, more than likely, but at least I'm not that bad. But back on track. So currently in the closed beta, we have access to 6 missions across, I believe it is 3 zones. Each of the zones do feel somewhat distinct, because everything eventually in Warhammer 40k just ends up looking like brass, shit, and gunmetal grey. And that's the truth. So the fact that they've been able to distinguish the maps that we have had access to is a good job. There are also a couple of vendors that will either sell you trinkets or weapons, and their stocks change from every, like, I believe it's 12 hours to every hour, or every 30 minutes, so you can change your loadout and just try out different weapons if that's what you want to do, and I kind of like that system. And there's also a place you can go to basically pick up weekly bounties, get the weekly bounties done, and it will give you a currency that you only get from bounties, which you can spend on higher quality weapons and little trinkets. So that's about it. There haven't been any in-game events as of yet. We were supposed to be getting them today, as well as an extra 2 missions and also another zone. It didn't happen, unfortunately. Fatshark are quite overwhelmed with the number of people that actually wanted in. I mean, there's no way they could have told how many people wanted in. It's not like they could have had an open beta like, I don't know, a couple of months ago. Because Warhammer 40k does have a lot more fans than, like, fantasy, as I said. So they should have known this was going to happen. But hindsight is 2020, and let's not look to the past. So yeah, that is Warhammer 40k Darktide, the so-called closed beta. It's very fun, although it does have its share of problems that are causing a big commotion. So for the most part, I'm enjoying it. The constant disconnections are annoying, but I have no doubt again that they will be resolved. I'm just hoping that maybe there's a little bit more of a soul added to the game, which is ironic, seeing how there's a lot of demon work at play here, but you know what I mean. There's not much humour, and the Skaven had humour. I wish that these Nurgle boys had some humour too. So yeah, thanks for watching, and if this is what you're playing currently, I hope you're enjoying playing it, and if not, I hope you're enjoying what you are playing. And of course, like always, we'll see you next time. Bye bye.